welcome back to Ashare Books. I'm here today to do my September Part 1 wrap-up. If I'm being honest, this month kind of got away from me. I feel like the weeks have been long, but the month is like flying by. So all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, it's already almost the 20th. So I was like, better get on to filming that. So here we go. Also, if my cat is howling in the background, she is fine, I promise. For some reason, she is walking around the house, like, meowing very loudly. I don't know why, but she's fine, I promise. She just likes to be vocal. The first two books I'm going to mention in this wrap-up are books that I'm actually going to be talking about in a future Read Bliss video. So I won't talk too in depth about them, but I did want to mention them in case anyone's interested in picking them up. And the first one's called Hunt the Moon. It's by Carrie Cole. And I read this one on my Kindle, so I don't have a physical version here. But this was a really fun paranormal romance. It was about werewolves, and I really enjoyed it. Basically, the story follows our alpha, who is the alpha of the pack, and then at the beginning of the story, you meet our heroine. I'm blanking on names, but you meet her, and she basically is coming to meet her brother's fiance's family, which turns out to be part of a wolf pack. And basically, she has grown up knowing what werewolves are, but being told, and she is one, by the way, but she's always been told that they're complete monsters and that she needs to like repress herself and never ever like give into that kind of like urge. So she's never turned, and it was just a really fascinating backstory for our heroine. So basically the two of them meet and sparks fly. So the story follows that as well. So like her coming to terms with who she is, what she is, and all that stuff, which is really interesting to see, as well as there's kind of like this mystery running throughout it as well, because there are different pack members that have been being killed over the past like year or so, and no one can figure out what's happening, and you actually get little glimpses into the like killer's mind, kind of like little snippets from the person who's doing it. So I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5, and I definitely am going to be picking up Carrie Cole's next book, which I think is coming out very soon. So it's like the sequel. So definitely pick that up if you're looking for a paranormal romance. Next one was The Darkest Night, which is book 1 in Gina Showalter's Lords of the Underworld series. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that series, but I actually had not read it yet. So this is the first one. If you're like me and you haven't picked it up yet, I highly encourage you to. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. This basically follows a group of men who were cursed a long time ago for something that they did, like a crime they committed, but the gods cursed them by putting demons inside of them. So each one has like a different demon or a different curse that they have to like put up with. So this book, the first one, I think really sets up the series quite well, and I think she did a good job of kind of touching on each guy, and you kind of are wanting their story, but at the same time focusing on the couple that is in the book. So basically Maddox is our main character, and every night he has to be basically tortured and sent to hell because of his curse. And so that's like he's just a very tortured, very like brooding guy. He's been through a lot. And then we have, I think it's Ashlyn, I think, is the name of our female character, and she basically has kind of different, I don't know if they're called powers, but like something different about her. She basically can hear conversations that have gone on in the place that she's at. So if she walks into like a room, she can hear all the voices and conversations that have happened over like however long the house is or the building is. So she kind of thinks she's crazy, and she kind of comes up to this house that people in town are whispering about the Lords of the Underworld, and they're kind of, some say they're demons, some say they're angels, but she really wants help to figure out what she can do to get rid of these voices. And that's kind of where the story starts, and it kind of goes from there. I don't want to say too much more, but if you are a paranormal romance fan and you for some reason haven't read it like me, definitely pick it up. It was I liked the world building. I liked the kind of mythology behind the guys and how they had like the demons put inside them. And I'm really, really excited to read the next one. The next one I read is called From Here to You by Jamie McGuire, and this is her new release. It just came out a couple of weeks ago, I think, at this point. So I actually buddy read this one with Jen from, I think it's Jen Talks Audiobooks is her username now, or her like channel name now, but I'll definitely link her down below because I love talking with her, and we had a really fun time buddy reading this, and I think we both enjoyed it. I think I gave it 4 stars. I think she did too, so we're kind of on the same page. Basically, this is her new story, and it starts off with our main character, Darby, who is in a wedding dress in a bathroom, and she finds out she's pregnant, and she also decides that she is not marrying the guy that she's supposed to marry because he is a very, very bad person, and he has been like violent towards her, and she just basically decides that she needs to get out of there for the sake of herself and her child. So she goes on the run and ends up in, I think was it Utah or Colorado? It was somewhere out west. And she basically just gets a bus ticket and gets there, and at the same time there is a huge wildfire going on, so there's a lot of hotshots that are staying at the same hotel that she's staying at and that she gets a job at. So there she meets, what was his name, Trex, and he basically is kind of this mysterious guy. You don't know exactly why he's there, if he's a firefighter, if he's not, but basically it's their story, and it's had a lot to do with like finding the one. Like Trex kind of believes that like one day he's gonna find the woman for him, and when he does, he's gonna like do whatever he has to get her. And I thought that was very swoon worthy. I mean, who doesn't want to hear that? But I really enjoyed it. I mean, I thought certain parts were a little slow, but I actually kind of enjoyed that in the sense that I liked seeing the character development. And even though this is definitely a romance between our characters, I will say, and I think me and Jen both agreed on this, it was definitely also like a kind of coming of age story for Darby, because she is fairly young still. I mean, she's in her 20s, I believe, and it's just kind of her growing up and figuring out who she is without this past relationship, and who she is when she moves past kind of all this like tragedy per se. So I really enjoyed, and I love the fact that, without giving too much away, that even though she really liked Trex a lot, she definitely made him go at her pace, and she did not like jump right into like being in love, because that would have seemed really off considering what she just came from. So yeah, definitely pick this up. It was a really good contemporary, and I highly recommend. I really love Jamie McGuire, and if you read her other series, there are definitely some Maddox brothers in here. The next one I read was The Girl with the Make-Believe Husband by Julia Quinn, which is a Bridgerton's prequel. So this is her newest series that's out, and I believe this is her most recent novel until the one that's coming out in, I think, November. I kind of made an oopsie and read this one before, what's it called, Loving Miss Bridgerton, I think, which is book 1 in the prequels, but I don't think it really makes a difference in the sense of like, they're about different couples. So anyways, but this one was really great. I love Julia Quinn. If you were in like a rut, or at least for me, we're like, I'm in like a bad mood or anything, if I pick up a Julia Quinn book, it like immediately puts me in a better mood, and I just have the best time reading them. She has witty dialogue down to a T, especially in this historical setting. So basically this follows Cecilia Harcourt, who gets a letter and finds out that her brother, who is a redcoat fighting in America in the Revolutionary War, so this is before the Bridgertons, so it's a little earlier time frame, which was cool, but she gets a letter saying he's injured. So she, being a very, very loyal sister, hops on a boat across the water and goes to America. But when she gets there, she can't find him, but she does find his best friend, who basically they've been kind of sort of corresponding through letters through her brother, not like directly, but like they've had like a little message on the end for each other. So they kind of know each other, and she decides that she's going to, because when she gets there, they like won't let her in the hospital and stuff because she's not family, because the friend's hurt as well. Forgot to mention that. But without giving too much away, basically she decides to, and I don't think this is giving much away considering the title, but she decides that she's gonna say that she's his wife, just like temporarily, so she can like get in and take care of the guy. But obviously things might perhaps snowball from there. I really love this book. As I said, Julia Quinn does not do wrong, but I did give it a 4 instead of a 5 because I felt like she held on to her secrets a little bit too long, and it kind of irked me, and it kind of was like, okay, like, let's just come clean. Let's just not keep adding one more lie on top of another. So, and you could hear her inner monologues. You knew that she was thinking like, oh, this is not a good idea. And you're like, yep, it's not a good idea, but she's still doing it. So anyways, I highly suggest this though if you're a Julia Quinn fan. Like, I am really, really excited for her new book, and she just always makes me happy when I read her stuff. The next one I read was Phantom Evil by Heather Graham. I'm also going to be talking about this one in a Read Bliss video, but this one was so much fun. So this is book 1 in Heather Graham's Crew of Hunters series. So I read book like 24, I think it was, last month, and so I wanted to go back and like read it from the beginning, and I'm so glad I did, because I gave this like 4.5 5 stars. I thought it was so good, This was super creepy, way creepier than the last one I read. This takes place in New Orleans, and basically there's this team that is created by the government to basically go in, and this is when they're being formed, so you kind of get to see it from the beginning, but they go in whenever there's like something kind of weird going on with a crime or something they might think is paranormal, and it's led by, what's his name, Jackson Crow, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Jackson Crow. And he's kind of the cynic of the group, if we're being honest, but he's also the leader. But he's been through a lot and he's seen a lot. So kind of goes from there. And our other main heroine is Angela, and she also has a really tragic backstory and can definitely kind of have some paranormal twists to her, if you know what I mean. Like, she might be able to see certain things. Basically though, the story takes place in New Orleans, which I think is the best setting for like a creepy story. So it takes place there, and it's in this old house, and a senator's wife basically committed suicide, or it looks like she committed suicide. She like threw herself off a balcony, but the senator is swearing that that is not the case. Like, his wife would not do that, and the house has a legend of being haunted, and so he wants them to come in and basically like just look at the place and be like, do you think a ghost could have done this or not? So basically that's where the story like starts and goes, and I thoroughly enjoyed this. I love the setting. It was creepy. Like, the house was so scary. I listened to this on audiobook, and I had to turn it off at one point because I was too late at night. But so I really recommend this if you're looking for something for fall that's like a paranormal read that's a little bit different, because it does have that mystery aspect, but it also has like your paranormal ghosty aspect. And the last one I read was not this book, but it's the second book, which I actually don't own in physical copy because I listened to it on audiobook, but I will be buying one because I loved it. But it's called Sunset in Central Park, and it's book 2 in Sarah Morgan's like New York series. I cannot say how much I love this series. So I already read the second one with Bree from Bree Hill, and I think we both like just loved it. It takes place in New York, as all of the series does, and I just absolutely adore her books. Like, Sarah Morgan just really captures characters, her friendships. Like, the 3 girls in this friendship group that the first 3 books are about are just goals. Like, they're perfect. She really captures how different their personalities are too, which I think can sometimes be a problem with a series like this. And the love interest is very swoon-worthy. So the second book though, Sunset in Central Park, is between Frankie, who's kind of cold-hearted, not cold-hearted in the sense of like she's not nice, she loves her friends, but she's very closed off. She does not believe in like love, she does not believe in marriage. Her parents had a really terrible divorce when she was younger and had like a lot of repercussions on her life. So she's kind of the like naysayer of the group, I guess you would say. And then it's Matt, who she's known forever because it's her friend Paige's brother. And so they've grown up knowing each other since they were kids, and perhaps something happens between them, and it was just so good. I cannot suggest this series enough if you guys are looking for a contemporary romance that has a lot of like coming of age aspects as well. You know, the characters always figure out who they are and what they're doing with their life and kind of come to terms with things, while at the same time finding love in New York, which is the best setting ever. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. Okay, so those are the books that I read for the first half of September. I am really enjoying reading. I feel like I'm fully out of my like slumpy period, so I'm thrilled. Let me know what you guys are reading this month, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.